verdict in the Hernandez Govan trial. In case you missed it, that verdict came out roughly around 10:45 this morning, and it was not guilty on both counts. Hernandez Govan was accused of being the mastermind in the death of rapper Young Dolph. He is now a free man, free to go after 2 not guilty verdicts.
I never heard of that incident. I heard of it. If you reverse it, I done heard of it that way, the attempted hits on Dolph, but at that point, I hadn't heard anything about someone trying to do anything to Gotti.
Whatever money you get, save that shit, bro, because they gonna need it.
You making on this YouTube, you need to put it on your life insurance. People.
Hernandez Govan just walked out a free man, and already the streets can't stop buzzing. Not even a week into his freedom, and he's making waves left and right. Instead of laying low, he's running straight into interviews like he's got a story to tell. Every mic in front of him is...
And that's when he mentioned to me, he was like, man, they ain't trying to do nothing about Dolph trying to kill.
It's turning into a headline. And the words, they're bold, real bold. He's calling names, shaking tables, and making it clear he's not backing down from anybody, especially when it comes to Yo Gotti and his entire camp. The way he's talking, it's like he's got nothing left to lose. And that's exactly why the industry is listening. But here's the real problem. People are already clocking the slip-ups, the contradictions, the little cracks in Hernandez Govan stories. And the streets, they don't forget. One wrong move, and this man could end up right back behind.
I just want to say thank you to my attorneys, Manny, Robert, Haley, Beth, Handel, my private investigators, and Manny still helped me, and he knew I was innocent. Everybody around me knew I was innocent.
Bars. Or worse, silenced by the streets themselves before he even realizes what hit him. The second news of his release hit the internet. The reaction split straight down the middle. No gray area. On one side, people said he did his time in court, the jury cleared him, and it's over. Let the man breathe free and move on. But on the other side, pure rage. They're screaming he's guilty as ever, that he walked away from murder charges like it was nothing. And to them, it felt like a slap in the face to young Dolph's legacy. No real justice. Just another deep wound torn wide open. And while some tried to defend him, saying he looked humble, thankful, talking about leaving Memphis behind, that image didn't erase the anger. The fire burning on the other side was louder, and for many, it wasn't enough to heal what they see as unfinished business. It all sounded like a man begging for peace. But here's the problem. That's not what Hernandez Govan is really doing. The second the verdict dropped and he walked out free, he wasted no time hopping online, flooding interviews, talking reckless, running his mouth nonstop. And the more he speaks, the uglier it looks. Instead of laying low like anyone in his position should, he's basically confirming street rumors people once brushed off. Take Cornelius Smith, for example, the one who confessed during trial. He was painted like a junkie, shaky, unreliable, a witness nobody trusted. But now, Hernandez is out here talking, and without realizing it, he's validating some of those same claims. That's dangerous. Because the last thing Hernandez should be doing is backing up the words of a so-called junkie. But he's doing just that. And then came the red flag that set alarms off everywhere. Hernandez boldly claimed he never had any relationship with Yo Gotti, never met him, never did business. Nothing. But the streets aren't buying it. Because Hernandez himself already admitted he was close with Big Juke, Yo Gotti's older brother. They were tight for years, moving in the same circles, sharing deep connections that can be brushed aside as nothing. Hernandez even admitted they met young, gambling together, acting almost like family. So now fans are calling him out heavy. How can you swear you never met Gotti when you were side by side with his own brother? Even if there wasn't direct business, people are convinced their paths had to cross. That circle was too tight. And to make matters worse, Hernandez himself bragged in interviews about working with CMG, Gotti's label, signing rappers, scouting talent, playing a role in building the brand's future. That doesn't sound distant. It sounds deep. He even took it further, saying he was lining up Straight Drop. Yes, the same guy accused of being tied to young Dolph's murder for a CMG deal. And that detail had people shaking their heads. Because suddenly, Cornelius Smith's testimony about Straight Drop's motive being money didn't sound so crazy. Cornelius said Big Juke promised a record deal. Hernandez basically confirmed it. He admitted he was in the house with Juke and Straight Drop when those conversations about deals came up. That slip changed everything, because it made the whole thing sound way too real. Hernandez even said Cornelius Smith came by that same day. He thought Cornelius just wanted drugs, like usual, but then Cornelius dropped a line that shook everyone. He asked Hernandez straight up, "They ain't trying to do nothing about Dolph trying to kill Gotti?" Hernandez claimed it was the first time he'd ever heard that, but in the same breath, he admitted he always knew Gotti wanted Dolph out the way. And that's where the internet went wild. Because Hernandez saying Dolph supposedly wanted to kill Gotti, that was brand new. It flipped the conversation. But fans aren't buying his act. They're saying if Cornelius could casually say that in a house where Juke and Straight Drop were sitting, then he already knew Hernandez was part of the loop. Otherwise, why speak so freely? The way people see it, Hernandez can play dumb all he wants, but Cornelius knew exactly who was in the bigger picture. It lines up with his courtroom testimony. Sure, Cornelius was messy. Sure, he was unreliable. But he wasn't lying about everything, especially not about that meeting. And then Hernandez slipped again. He basically confirmed Yo Gotti had tried to take out young Dolph multiple times. And if anyone doubted it, the streets don't. They point straight to history. Dolph survived more than one attempt before they finally got him. The first came in 2017 during CA weekend in Charlotte. In broad daylight, Dolph's SUV was sprayed with over 100 bullets, right in the middle of the city, just blocks from the basketball tournament. His car got shredded. Shell casings littered the street. It looked like a war zone. And yet, somehow, Dolph survived. That was just the beginning. The tension, the attempts, the hits. Hernandez's own words are making the rumors look more like receipts. I seen him pull off right here, bro. A truck came out of nowhere, slammed the brakes, like a movie. That's how witnesses described the Charlotte ambush. And whispers say Dolph had already bulletproofed his SUV before that day, almost like he knew danger was creeping from Yo Gotti's camp, and he was preparing for war. Not long after, 3 men got scooped up in connection: Black Youngster, Frederick Black, and Enos Gardner. Heavy charges dropped on them: conspiracy, firearms, the works. The streets lit up with speculation. But when Dolph got asked about the arrests, he didn't flinch. He didn't fold. He brushed it off like it was just another Tuesday. Instead of hiding, he doubled down. He locked in harder, shining even brighter in the faces of his enemies. One thing I know for sure: you kill your haters with success. That was Dolph's motto. And he lived it. Right after Charlotte, Dolph came swinging. First with his diss track, aimed squarely at Gotti, Play with Yo B. Then he doubled down harder, dropping 100 shots in Charlotte and Bulletproof. He turned pain into pure ammunition. Meanwhile, Black Youngster's charges eventually got tossed. Court docs said the only link was a rental car in his name. No proof he drove it. No proof he was even inside. But the cloud of suspicion? That never left. And it wouldn't be long before Dolph's enemies came again. This time in Hollywood. Outside the Lowe's Hotel, a fight popped off in the Valley area. Dolph hit the ground. Shots rang out and multiple bullets tore into him. He was rushed into surgery and, against all odds, pulled through. But the message was clear. Someone powerful wasn't stopping until Dolph was gone for good. LAPD even named Yo Gotti a person of interest in that shooting, based on witness accounts. And one of his close associates, Corey McClendon, was arrested near the scene. Cops even tied a gold Escalade to the suspect's park not far away. But just like Charlotte, the charges didn't stick. McClendon walked free. And to this day, nobody has ever been held accountable for that hit. But even after taking multiple bullets, Dolph didn't flinch. No paranoia. No hiding. People saw him moving around solo not long after, acting like nothing even happened. He didn't let fear stop him. He stacked his money higher, leveled up bigger, and kept making moves right in front of the same enemies that wanted him gone. When asked if his worldview changed after being shot, his response was simple: not really. And then came the darkest chapter, the day the streets lost Dolph for good. In broad daylight, right in his hometown of Memphis, he pulled up to Makeda's homemade cookies, a spot he always supported. That's when two masked gunmen ambushed him, unloading shots before peeling off in a getaway car. The whole thing caught on surveillance. Just like that, Memphis lost one of its most respected voices. Now here's the million-dollar question. Why would Hernandez Govan hop on a public platform and basically incriminate himself, dragging others into it too? Some say he's reckless, not smart enough to stay quiet, but others think it runs deeper. That Hernandez might actually be working with the feds. The theory? He cut a deal, or he's being allowed to talk, so the feds can build their case against a real target, Yo Gotti. And when you break it down, it doesn't sound far-fetched. Hernandez admitted publicly that Gotti tried to take Dolph out multiple times. Add that to the history, Dolph surviving hits before his murder, and suddenly, Hernandez looks like he's connecting all the dots out loud. That's why people are watching Gotti so closely now. Quiet, careful, calculated. No wild antics. No noise. Just silence, because he knows the eyes are glued to him. But it's not just Gotti raising eyebrows. Black youngsters' behavior has people talking too. Recently, he scrubbed CMG from his bio, claimed independence, and fired off cryptic posts that looked like shots at Gotti himself. I'm sick of these dudes. Fake OGs, fake CEOs. I put trust in the wrong people. No more fake love. I'm cool standing alone. His words had fans shook, like maybe youngster sees a storm coming, and he's getting out before it hits. And let's not forget, youngster was always the loudest in the Dolph versus CMG war, the one screaming the hardest. And yet now, he's suddenly distancing himself. Even after Dolph passed, youngster doubled down on disrespect, filming a music video for one of his Dolph diss tracks in a graveyard, standing right in front of a tombstone marked Thornton, Dolph's real last name. Fans were outraged, but youngster didn't care. I come from South Memphis. No sympathy. Don't care what the world thinks. That's why people believe if even youngster is backing off now, it's because he knows something. Maybe he feels the feds circling. Maybe he's seen enough to know the walls are closing in on Gotti and CMG. Because no matter how Hernandez spins his story, all fingers keep pointing back to that camp. And circling back to Hernandez, his reckless mouth has been showing his true colors long before Vlad. He already went viral after clashing with blogger C. Nash, who called him guilty. In a heated 13-minute back and forth, Hernandez made it clear he wasn't happy being called out. At one point, he told Nash, "Whatever money you're making on YouTube, put on life insurance." To some, that wasn't just trash talk. That was a threat, a deadly warning. And the way he said it convinced people Hernandez wasn't just chasing clout. He was sending a message. Some brush it off as a publicity stunt. Others aren't laughing. They believe Hernandez is bold enough to say that in public. Imagine what he's saying behind closed doors. To them, it proves he's really tied into the chaos, that he's the man people whisper about. And that's why the Dolph versus Gotti saga feels far from over. If anything, it feels like the storm is heating back up, and the next chapter, it could get even uglier than the last. So what do you think? Is Hernandez exposing too much? Or is he playing a dangerous game he can't win? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you're locked in. And don't forget to subscribe, because this saga is only getting started.